Alexa, turn on museum.
Today we have an awesome friend of ours. His name is Joel Bishop, and he has an incredible collection that we're excited to share with you. Thank you for letting us be in your amazing room filled with this incredible collection. What started this for you?
This insanity? Yeah. So here's the story. When Phantommeanace, episode 1 of Star Wars came out, they put out these action figures. And so, at this point, I don't know, 30-something, 20-something. And I'm like, I like these guys. These are cool. I remember really liking action figures. And so I'm like, I still have some boxed up somewhere. So I started getting out my old action figures. Like this is the original Luke from the early Bird Special.
Star Wars figures. R2-D2. Chewbacca, Luke, and Princess Leia. They're the Star Wars early bird set of figures.
Yes, I know. This is not his original lightsaber. That probably got chewed off because I was 7. But with Phantommeanace and seeing all these cool action figures, I'm like, I just really like these. I'm like, okay, I can afford to spend a few bucks here and there. And so I started getting guys like Darth Maul and stuff. And from there, it kind of went crazy. But then I realized if I go to Desert Industries, which is a secondhand, or what is it? A thrift store.
Like a Goodwill.
Yeah, like a Goodwill.
Yeah.
And Sabers, similar. I started going to these stores and looking for action figures that I didn't have, that maybe I could get for even a better price. So I started doing that, and it wasn't just Star Wars. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. They have action figures, or at least figurines from all sorts of TV shows and movies that I like. So if it's from a show that I like, a cartoon maybe, I would get it. And so it just kind of went from there and grew and grew and grew. And then it's like, if I just like the way an action figure looks and I don't know what it is, I might get it at one of these thrift stores. 25 cents, 50 cents.
So if we look in this room, there is anything from Disney to animation to movies to even commercials
Yeah.
that you have in this room.
Yeah, it's a decent collection, and I kind of have them spaced out so that you can see them a little bit easier. I used to have this in a different place in my house, but it was in the basement, and we'd always have to take people into the basement if they wanted to see my collection. And the collection was all kind of squished together, and it was cool, but you couldn't tell one thing from the next necessarily. So when we had to change rooms, my wife suggested, well, let's put it in the front room so people can see it easier.
Which is pretty amazing because there's not a whole lot of wives that would suggest something like
Kristen's
that.
pretty amazing. So, but it made sense. Let's put it in a place that people can see it and still have function of our front room. So it's now the museum room that has all of these action figures, things that I like. And by the way, I'm not the professional collector. So as you found out, I mean, I bought things for 25 and 50 cents or Happy Meal or a few things brand new, but nothing was too expensive, and it just makes me happy.
What do you look for when you go for a yard sale?
What I look for is probably goofy. If it's somebody has it in the yard and they're hoping people buy the furniture and the clothes and all the big ticket items, I immediately go to the box of toys. I go to the kids area. I'm like, do they have any cool action figures stuck in here? And that's what I'll look for first. And by the way, it's not every size action figure for me. They originally started out with the 3¼ inch size. That was my original intent.
Okay.
So I still tend to stick to a smaller size. They make some amazing big action figures.
Yeah.
Cool, but these make me the happiest, and so I try to keep them in the smaller range. So that's what I look for. I go to the toy box, and I go through, and sometimes you get some really cool things.
Joel, what is something that you would claim to be most memorable?
I think the action figures, particularly Star Wars, has a lot of meaning because I didn't grow up with a lot of money. My family didn't grow up with a lot of money. And so getting gifts when, for Christmas or birthdays or whatever, or just when my mom went to the store, which was rare that she'd bring home a gift, I remember specifically being home, and I was a little punk kid, and I was probably the pain in the family. But I remember once my mom had been shopping, just grocery shopping. She came home, and she handed me an R2-D2 action figure in the box, and that meant a lot to me because, again, we didn't have lots of money, so for no reason other than she wanted to show some love, that has a lot of meaning to me. You're getting emotional. You're making me emotional. But that's why these action figures probably have meaning to me, is because there's lots of memories associated with them of growing up, and maybe they represent a little bit of, hey, even when we didn't have much, this is a way that my parents showed me love.
Well, Joel, you definitely have a passion for Star Wars, and I think a lot of people can relate to that because that's childhood memory. That's when magic started coming alive.
Yeah.
I know that you have a collection of cards that you want to share with us.
I shall. Okay, so besides the action figures, obviously Star Wars is a big thing, and there's other action figures throughout the room, but like the original bubblegum collector cards, so I've got a whole collection. So there was the blue series, and then there was the red series, and then yellow and green. Anyway, so
do you remember actually going and gathering with your friends to be able to trade cards?
Yes, usually it was at church. So my best friend Ben Shipley and I, we had action figures and things, and we would trade cards. But I think probably Paul Scully and Mark Guller had them too, and we'd do them at church. I think I did them at school. The main memory was at church, like, look at all these cool cards that I got. Isn't it pretty sweet? Okay, we should pay attention to the lesson. But yeah, that's those were my memories of the cards. So some of the Star Wars action figures are valuable to me. If I can share something else,
yes,
this is a recent thing for those that are game fanatics. Here we go. People might like the game Hogwarts Legacy.
Magic, both beautiful and powerful, binds together our long history.
Well, I had the chance to be a Mocap artist for Hogwarts Legacy. Me and a wonderful actress, Gillian Petrie, we got to do almost every character in the game. So Mocap, what Mocap stands for is motion capture. So I did a bunch of motion capture. Actually, I really did full performance capture because we also did the dots on the face and did things, that was really cool as well. This particular item was presented to me as the game was being released. This is called the cluster. And so if you've seen people with the spandex suits with the dots on them, the little balls.
Right, yeah.
Those are all sensors that tell the computer where the person is in space. But that cluster says who the person is. So this was presented to me. This is the Joel Bishop cluster, so that the computer would know, oh, okay, this figure we're following, this is Joel. And the same for Jillian or anybody else that does mocap for the game. They have a specific cluster for them. That was presented to me. That has a lot of meaning because that was 2 years of my life doing motion capture for a world. Hogwarts Legacy is part of the Harry Potter world that I love. Quick wand story.
Okay.
Let me just say, if you're doing motion capture work, you've got, just like with acting, you do things over and over again until they get it just right. Well, there's a lot of energy associated with doing certain wand things, and so one day was a lot of different spells that we're casting in a battle. As you can see, as I'm doing, there's all these muscles in the arm that you'd never use. I couldn't use my arm for the next 2 days because it was so sore after casting all these spells. And the same thing happened to Jillian when she did. It was just one of those funny things you don't think about. But as you play the game, I hope you realize there's a price to be paid, and it's my arm.